Ooh, this magic. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 11th Lineal Justin and Tyler Movie Awards for the year of 2024, and we are within our main event now, the top 30 best movies of 2024, which will be coming up in just a moment. But first, now we shine the spotlight on you as we do every year and every mid-year. It is time for the 2024 Fans' Choice. So if you're with us for the first time, the way this goes is the two of us, actually now this year, solicit input from you on what your favorite movie or favorite movies were of the year, this year of course being 2024, and we compile that information and we create the Fans' Choice Awards for the best movies of 2024. What I can say about this year is we smashed the participation record. Closer to doubling it than not. Like, we smashed the amount of input this year for the Fans' Choice, and that's all you folks. So we appreciate you very much. We thank you very much for that. And the way this process goes is, as an added extra layer, my boy over here tries to predict your top 5 best movies of the year. Of course, that's based on fan support and however many times these movies were mentioned, that's what we base it on. So Tyler's going to predict the top 5, and Tyler does not see the majority of this data. He did see a little bit of it because you helped compile a little bit of it, but the vast majority of this data he does not see. So he's going to sit here and try to predict what your top 5 best movies of 2024 are, and then I'm going to go through the information and reveal your full top 10 as well as a bunch of honorable mentions. Will you please give me your prediction for the Fans' Choice of 2024?
Okay, so I'm going to predict at number 5, Abigail.
Okay.
Number 4, Inside Out 2.
Nice. You're appealing to the parents.
Number 3, Dune Part 2.
Okay.
Number 2 is Wicked.
Ooh, okay.
And number 1 is Deadpool and Wolverine.
So, once again, Tyler's predictions for your top 5 for the Fans' Choice. Number 5, Abigail. Number 4, Inside Out 2. Number 3, Dune Part 2. Number 2, Wicked. And number 1, Deadpool and Wolverine. So, as a byproduct of the fact that we had more input this year than, multiple years combined in the past, there were a lot of movies that you guys mentioned. So there is a laundry list of movies that came nowhere close to even the tiers that we do for honorable mentions. Because the way that I do the honorable mentions is I kind of do them in 3 tiers based on support. Tier 3, Tier 2, and then Tier 1, which is the closest to the top 10 but just missed out. So there were a lot of movies that were on the outside looking in. So I'm going to flex my editing muscles, and while I do the, just highlight a few movies that missed out on the honorable mentions, I'm just going to have these movies scroll from bottom to top in front of you now. So if you happen to see a movie that you like, you go, hey, somebody else liked that movie, and that's nice. But I did want to highlight a few movies that were kind of in this grouping that got the teeniest bit of support, but didn't even get into any of the 3 tiers for the honorable mentions. The Apprentice, the Donald Trump movie.
Yeah. So sick of Trump.
I know. Robot Dreams, which is a significant one for us, because that's like, you know, that was a pretty highly regarded kids movie, and it was one that you had mentioned to me like a couple of times, like, hey, this is a movie that, you know, you would probably like and you should see. And
sad that it's only an honorable mention.
Yeah,
but
not even, or no, on the outside of the honorable
it's
mentions.
on the outside.
Yeah, this is stuff that didn't even make the honorables.
No, that's sad. But at least somebody liked it, you know?
It's true, it's true. This one's gonna hurt. Terrifier 3.
Yeah. Terrifier is loved by the Terrifier fans, but like even within the success of it relative to its budget, it's still not like a massive movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And like I kind of came across that in like a Discord a month here where I like would mention Terrifier, and people were like, "What's that?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I guess, yeah." Like in movie world, like especially horror, it's like you don't know Terrifier, but to the general public, I'm not surprised by that.
The Bike Riders.
Okay.
Madame Web. See, that movie, and it's what I said when I watched it, this movie has its audience.
I love I love that.
Absolutely does. Sad news for Tyler, Inside Out 2 is actually in this group that didn't even make in the honorable mentions.
Like, because Inside Out 2 made money.
It did.
It was well received. Wow, that's shocking. But that's not even...
You would have thought that would have at least been in an honorable mention, or probably somewhere in the top 10, but not this year.
That's shocking.
So I mentioned Hot Frosty for a reason, because Hot Frosty's in there. Late Night with the Devil, which is a surprising one for, I think, both of us, because I think we both quite enjoyed that movie, so the fact that it didn't make it further in.
Sometimes it's just the reach of movies.
Yeah,
this, right?
true.
Like, it's just a matter of not enough people saw it or whatever, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And then just two more here in this, like, pre-honorable mentions tier. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And I think maybe that could have been
late in the year.
Yeah, late in the year. And Lisa Frankenstein. I thought, like, okay, cool. I'm glad somebody enjoyed this, like, weird little niche Catherine Newton vehicle, but I kind of thought maybe it might have gotten a little bit more. We now come into the official 3-tiered honorable mentions. So in the tier 3 of honorable mentions, which is the lowest honorable mention tier that still makes it in, each of these movies comes with about 1.7% of the overall support. Heretic.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Challengers.
Yeah. Artsy fartsy sports movie.
I guess. Artsy fartsy Zendaya sports movie directed by Luca Guadagnino. Sing Sing, which I am not surprised by. It was one of those, like, I hoped for more. I hoped for higher, but it doesn't surprise me because I imagine...
It's a small movie.
Right. It's one of those movies that, like, you kind of have to seek out rather than it just kind of being in the zeitgeist. And Look Back, which I think is an anime, isn't it? Yeah. So we've got our. It feels like every year there's some representation of the anime fans. They're in there somewhere.
And Look Back wasn't even a long movie, so it was. I don't know if you watched it, but it doesn't even take up that much time in someone's life to watch it.
All right, we move on to the tier 2 of honorable mentions. These, it's only 2 movies in this tier. They each had 1.88% of support. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga.
I'm glad I didn't put that in the top 5. I considered it, but I was like, I don't think it has those kind of legs.
Yeah. And this movie actually was holding on in the top 10 for a long time and would get like a little bit of support that would just like kind of keep it afloat, and then just ultimately didn't last until the end. Monkey Man. I really would have liked Monkey Man to stay in the top 10. But a lot of people seem to like it and appreciate it, just not quite enough to get into the top 10.
Sad.
Yeah. Darn. Rip Dev Patel. All right. And the tier 1 honorable mentions, just falling short of the top 10. Each of these films having 2.05% of overall support. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Nosferatu, which was another late in the year movie that
Might have got higher if it wasn't so late in the year.
I get the feeling. I
didn't even consider it just because it was so late.
And The Fall Guy.
Yeah, okay, that's cool that kind of hung on to a decent spot.
Yeah, that was one that I was kind of at the beginning of the year. I kind of pegged that would be in the top 10.
The problem is nobody saw it really.
Yeah,
right. Like, it didn't make any money. So that's what's hard about predicting it. It's like, I know that it didn't make much money, but it's also a good movie.
Right.
It's well received by people who saw it.
It's true. Number 10 in the fans' choice in 2024 with 2.4% of overall support is The Substance.
Oh, I considered that for 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I didn't.
Number 9 with 2.91% of total support is Twisters.
I had that at number 5. That's what I took out.
Yeah.
I was like, Twisters has a chance. All right.
And pretty well most of the movies that we've mentioned at this point, you could totally see any of these being somebody's favorite movie or like in somebody's top 5 or anything like that. Like nothing's really like at least of the honorable mention tier or anything, nothing's really stuck out as like that's a weird one. Like that's weird that's in there.
I'm surprised by the success of Twisters, but I didn't know how to gauge it because, to be honest, I saw a lot of conservatives really liking it, and I was like, but is that enough to...
Right.
Like, I don't know what non-conservatives thought, because they were all like, oh, it's not woke, because that's what they do.
Right, fair enough.
But apparently, lots of people
just
liked it.
It's almost like most people don't care whether a movie is being described as woke or not. They just want to watch a movie. Let's hope that's the case. That's the energy we need to take moving into 2025. We have a two-way tie for number 7, both with 3.08% of overall support. We have Anora.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like kind of a little movie that could.
I think
Sean Baker's not like a super well-known filmmaker.
Right.
But they were pushing Anora really hard. So that's cool. Good for Anora. Good for Sean Baker. Good for Mikey Madison. Good for the fans.
Exactly. Good for strippers everywhere. And, unfortunately for Tyler, Wicked.
That's surprising.
You know what? It falls a little short. Maybe because of how late in the year it came out, but it was still like getting, obviously it's got that big Disney machine behind it that, yeah. And a lot of people have seen it, so I did kind of think it would wind up higher, but it's still top 10, but
I suck today.
Yeah, that's two movies down. You still got 3 in the chamber. You got Abigail, Dune Part 2, and Deadpool and Wolverine. And here's the final movie that falls short of the top 5. At number 6, with 3.77% of overall support, there are beavers, and there are hundreds of them.
I considered putting hundreds of beavers in top 5.
Yeah. Well, now I'm glad you didn't, because it fell just barely short.
Wow, there's a... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, your top 5 fans' choice best movies of 2025.
There's a movie that has a chance of still being in there that I didn't put in my top 5, but I still hope that it is.
All right. At number 5, with 4.45% of overall support.
Here it is.
The Wild Robot.
Yes! There it is! I should have put it in. Good job, fans. Good job. That is awesome. I'm happy even though I'm wrong.
Right.
Oh, fuck, I should have put it in.
That's the parents, that's the folks our age that just...
That's everyone with a brain.
Yeah, exactly.
And a heart.
And that's reflective of the fact that there's a ton of kids' movies that come out today that have a lot of content that is enjoyable for adults. And the best kids' movies do that. They strike that balance between the two.
That is probably the pick this year for you guys that makes me the happiest, even though I was wrong. I am so pleased with you, fans.
Fans are your friends, in fact. Number 4, with 4.79% of support, is Abigail.
Yeah. I wasn't right in the placing, but Whatever.
Correct. But you did get it in there in the top 5.
I cannot believe Abigail hung on. I don't hate that movie by any means.
No.
I just, I can't believe it.
But the important thing is you're on the board.
It only dropped 2 places.
Yeah.
From the mid-years.
Yeah. Number 3. With 4.97% of support. This might be the interesting one. Alien Romulus.
I also considered Alien Romulus
Did you?
for number 5. I had to the fans, I had a whole bunch of movies fighting for the 5th spot that I just really wasn't sure which one to go with. Also, in the little bit of data that I collected, Alien Romulus was probably the most popular movie, I think.
Yeah?
I think so. I think that was the one that had the most votes of what I collected, which was only I don't know, 10, 15 votes or whatever, but...
Number 2, with 7.88% of overall support, is Dune Part 2.
Yeah, it is.
So you're back on the board again.
Of course I am.
So that's 2. That's 2 points.
In terms of guessing the top 5, I'm 3 for 5 because because I know that my other one's gonna be in there.
And number 1, with 8.56% of support, your number 1 fans' choice best movie of 2024 is Deadpool and Wolverine. So that is not only the correct movie, but also the correct placement. And wouldn't you know who won the pony? Out of 10 available points, you get 4, which is 40%.
I have an average of 40% on this.
When
you factor in the way he does it, when you factor in the other way of just getting them in the top 5, I'm 3 for 5.
Yeah.
60%.
Crazy consistency every single time we do this.
Yeah.
You nail it.
Even though it causes me great stress. I never feel confident at all.
Yeah, there were some existential crises that were taking place off camera over what one do I put number 5, and ultimately the one that you chose got you a point.
Got me in.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Screw you.
Yeah, exactly. Screw you, people. No, that is your fans' choice for the best movies of 2024. Once again, your top 5. Number 5, The Wild Robot. Number 4, Abigail. Number 3, Alien Romulus. Number 2, Dune Part 2. And number 1, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Thank you.